Marie and Pierre Curie, 1894 to 1906. Maria Skłodowska was born in Warsaw in 1867. She was the daughter of a secondary school teacher. She studied in local schools and received some training in science from her father. Because women were not able to attend university in Poland in the 19th century, Maria left Poland to study at a French university in 1891. Now known by the French name Marie, she worked hard in a laboratory that was owned by Pierre Curie. Pierre Curie was born in Paris in 1859. He received his early education at home and then joined the Faculty of Sciences at the Sorbonne. He was promoted to professor in 1900. Marie and Pierre Curie got married in 1895. Although poor, they were devoted to each other and their research. Their studies of radioactive substances were carried out under difficult conditions. Their laboratory facilities were hardly adequate, and they had to do a lot of teaching to earn a living. In 1898, the couple discovered the elements polonium and radium. They eventually won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1903 for the discovery of radioactivity. When Pierre died in 1906, Marie honored his memory by continuing their work. In 1911, Marie Curie won another Nobel Prize, this time for chemistry. She was the first person to win the Nobel Prize twice.
Anita and Giuseppe Garibaldi, 1839 to 1849. Giuseppe Garibaldi was a leader in the struggle for Italian unification and independence. When Garibaldi was exiled from Italy, he fled to South America, where he lived for 12 years and fought in another struggle for independence, this time for the independence of Uruguay from Argentina. While in Brazil, Garibaldi married Anita Ribeiro, a young woman from Laguna, a small town in southern Brazil. As husband and wife, the two traveled everywhere together. It was known that Anita even accompanied her husband to battles. However, on August 4, 1849, Anita, pregnant and sick, died in Garibaldi's arms. Garibaldi never did get over his grief at Anita's death. Over a decade later, he was still grieving when he first went to meet the king of a unified Italy, wearing one of her scarves. I'm really excited that we're going to share an apartment to save money while we study in New York.
I am too. But you know, a lot of friends end up arguing about chores, so I was thinking it might be a good idea for us to divide up the chores before we move in.
Yeah, I do think we should discuss that. I'm sure we can work out a fair division of chores.
Of course, we'll each clean our own room. And since there are 2 bathrooms, how about if I clean one and you clean the other?
That's fair. And each week we can take turns cleaning the rest of the apartment.
Hey, do you want to do our laundry together so that only one of us has to go to the laundromat each week?
We're on the same wavelength. I was just going to suggest that.
I really don't like folding the wash. If I wash the laundry, would you be willing to do the folding?
No sweat. And how about cooking? I don't mind cleaning, but cooking is really not my cup of tea. Would you do the cooking if I did the cleaning up?
Sorry, but if there's one chore I hate, it's cooking.
Well, it looks like we're going to be eating a lot of takeout.
Dr. Abdullah al-Rabia is highly respected in the medical field for his contribution to pediatric surgery and his expertise in separating conjoined twins. The work of Dr. Rabia and his team of medical specialists has enriched the lives of many children and their families around the world. Abdullah al-Rabia was born in Saudi Arabia. From a young age, he knew that he wanted to help others and choose medicine as his career. He proved to be an excellent student, and by the age of 25, he had received a Bachelor of Medicine and a Bachelor of Surgery from King Saud University in Riyadh. He continued his studies in Alberta, Canada, where he was awarded a Master's in Pediatric Surgery in 1985 and became a member of the Canadian Board of Pediatric Surgeons in 1987. Dr. Rabia soon returned to Saudi Arabia and became an assistant professor of pediatric surgery at King Saud University and a pediatric surgery consultant at several hospitals in the kingdom. From 2005 to 2009, he held the position of Executive Director General of Health Affairs at the National Guard, and in February 2009, he was appointed Minister of Health. In January 2005, Dr. Rabia and his team made medical history by separating a pair of conjoined twins after 15 hours of surgery. This was the 9th successful operation of its kind performed at the Health Affairs at the National Guard Medical City in Riyadh. The twins' mother, from Poland, had heard of the excellent facilities there and requested help for her daughters. The 14-month-old girls were brought to the kingdom after Crown Prince Abdullah generously agreed to the operation. When the 2 girls finally came out of the operation theater, the relieved mother told reporters, "The day of separation of the twins is the happiest event in my life." In February, the Polish ambassador held a special reception to honor Dr. Rabia and his team for their outstanding achievement. This operation and others since prove that humanitarian assistance and medical care have no geographical borders. In April 2014, he was appointed as a consultant in the royal court.
One, Dr. Rabia is respected for his contribution to pediatric surgery. 2. They have enriched the lives of children around the world. 3. He received a Bachelor of Surgery from King Saud University in Riyadh. 4. After the operation, the mother was relieved. 5. The ambassador held a reception to honor Dr. Rabia.
Animal partners. For animals in the wild, each day is a struggle to survive. They must continually search for food while at the same time keeping themselves safe from predators. Some animals have learned that teaming up with another animal makes the struggle to find food, shelter, and safety a bit easier. This kind of special relationship in which animals depend upon and benefit from one another is called symbiosis. One of the most visually surprising examples of symbiosis occurs between the fearsome African crocodile and the small plover bird. When a plover is nearby, a crocodile will open its long, sharp-toothed jaws to invite it inside. You might assume that the plover would quickly reject this invitation and fly off. Yet surprisingly, the plover does hop inside. Perhaps even more amazingly, the crocodile, normally known for its aggression, does not snap its mouth shut and have the plover for a snack. Instead, it remains still, not closing its mouth until the plover leaves. How can this strange behavior be explained? The answer is symbiosis. The plover picks out all the small pieces of meat stuck between the crocodile's teeth. In doing so, it cleans the crocodile's teeth, which prevents it from getting infections. Because the crocodile cannot clean its own teeth, it depends on the plover to perform this service. In return, the crocodile provides an easy meal for the plover. In some cases of symbiosis, like the crocodile and the plover, each animal in the pair benefits from their relationship in a different way. However, in other cases, the animals share a common goal. This is true of the honey-guide bird and the ratel, a furry creature with short legs and long claws. Both these animals live on grasslands in Africa and have an appetite for honey. As its name suggests, the honey-guide has a special ability for locating beehives. However, this small bird cannot open a beehive to get at the honey. To accomplish this, it teams up with the ratel. Ratels are a perfect match for the honey-guide as they love honey, are large enough to crack open a hive, but have no ability to find hives themselves. The honey-guide flies over grasslands looking for a hive. When it does spot a hive, it swoops down and makes a noise to alert the ratel. The ratel uses its claws to tear open the hive. After eating its fill, the ratel invites the honey-guide to finish the leftovers. Another two animals that team up to compensate for their own weaknesses are the zebra and the ostrich. These two animals often travel together. This is no surprise, since they are a perfect match. While the giant flightless ostrich has poor senses of both smell and hearing, the zebra has acute senses of smell and hearing. On the other hand, the zebra has terrible eyesight, while the ostrich has excellent eyesight, enhanced by its long neck, which enables the ostrich to see far into the distance. In this way, each makes up for the other's deficiencies. As a result, the animals are far safer together than they would be apart. Ostriches can see predators, such as lions, far in the distance, while zebras can smell or hear others as they approach. Birds and land animals aren't the only ones that work in symbiotic pairs. Some sea animals, like the clownfish and the sea anemone, do as well. Sea anemones, which look like plants, are actually dangerous animals with poisonous tentacles. Most fish stay away from anemones to avoid being stung. However, the clownfish makes its home among sea anemones. It does not get stung because its body is protected by a special coating. Living among the deadly tentacles of an anemone has a clear advantage. Most predators stay away. Another benefit for the clownfish is that it is able to eat the anemone's leftover bits of food. But what is the advantage to the anemone? There are several. First, the brightly colored clownfish attracts predators. When the clownfish swims under the anemone's tentacles to safety, if the predator follows, the anemone has the chance to sting and eat it. Other services the clownfish performs are cleaning up food scraps and dead anemone tentacles and chasing away fish that might eat the anemone. While many symbiotic pairs may first look like odd partners, the benefits they provide one another are invaluable and may make the difference between life and death. In fact, it is often these animals' very differences that make them perfect partners.
There is a memory that always makes me smile with contentment and admiration, and that is the memory of my maternal grandparents. My grandfather was a dedicated lawyer whose moral fiber prevented him from taking advantage of circumstances to make a profit. He was highly respected in Turkish courts and had the reputation of the most honest law specialist. He was genuinely interested in people, history, law, and philosophy, and was always reading when he was at home. He was the calmest, most serene person I have ever met. He never raised his voice, never lost his temper, and had a special ability to always rationalize things ever so smoothly that the worst calamity seemed like a slight twitch. Nothing could make him lose his sense and aura of peace. Grandmother, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. She used to get all worked up about things and flustered over minor irregularities. She had to have everything planned just so, and still worried about things that could go wrong. She wanted everything to be perfect, sometimes to an extreme. Once, when she had gotten into her cleanliness frenzy, she called someone in and got rid of genuine antique furniture that Grandfather had painstakingly collected over a number of years and arranged in this perfect replica of a drawing room. There were fine, elegant chairs with brocade upholstery on the seats and beautiful tables, not to mention some exquisite mirrors. Grandmother had gotten it into her head that it was all useless because it collected too much dust, and decided to sell it off to the first bidder for next to nothing. When Grandfather came home, he opened the door to the little drawing room to admire his creation and found an empty shell. He asked Grandmother where everything was, and she very naturally informed him that she'd gotten rid of it because it was a dust magnet. All he did was chuckle, and then sat down at the table to have his lunch. This incident pretty much rounds up the amazing symbiosis between these two wonderful people. In spite of their different characteristics, they obviously complemented each other in a way that only they could fully appreciate. There is a memory that always makes me smile with contentment and admiration, and that is the memory of my maternal grandparents. My grandfather was a dedicated lawyer whose moral fiber prevented him from taking advantage of circumstances to make a profit. He was highly respected in Turkish courts and had the reputation of the most honest law specialist. He was genuinely interested in people, history, law, and philosophy, and was always reading when he was at home. He was the calmest, most serene person I have ever met. He never raised his voice, never lost his temper, and had a special ability to always rationalize things ever so smoothly that the worst calamity seemed like a slight twitch. Nothing could make him lose his sense and aura of peace. Grandmother, on the other hand, was the exact opposite. She used to get all worked up about things and flustered over minor irregularities. She had to have everything planned just so, and still worried about things that could go wrong. She wanted everything to be perfect, sometimes to an extreme. Once, when she had gotten into her cleanliness frenzy, she called someone in and got rid of genuine antique furniture that Grandfather had painstakingly collected over a number of years and arranged in this perfect replica of a drawing room. There were fine, elegant chairs with brocade upholstery on the seats, and beautiful tables, not to mention some exquisite mirrors. Grandmother had gotten it into her head that it was all useless because it collected too much dust, and decided to sell it off to the first bidder for next to nothing. When Grandfather came home, he opened the door to the little drawing room to admire his creation and found an empty shell. He asked Grandmother where everything was, and she very naturally informed him that she'd gotten rid of it because it was a dust magnet. All he did was chuckle, and then sat down at the table to have his lunch. This incident pretty much rounds up the amazing symbiosis between these two wonderful people. In spite of their different characteristics, they obviously complemented each other in a way that only they could fully appreciate.